Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We've already done the 5-day forecast. You can find the video down here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit, it's underneath the link ads. There's also a written version, you get to that via buttons at the top of the page. It's going to be an unsettled 5 days coming up, quite a lot of rain, and it will be fairly chilly as well. And there might even be a little bit of snow at times up in the north. If you want to know more about the 5-day forecast, check out the video. This video is going to be looking at the weather beyond the 5-day forecast period, going up towards day 10. This takes us into the second week of March, so we'll see what the charts are suggesting is around the corner in a moment. Before I get on with that, though, just to say about the ads, so I just mentioned the links to articles. There are links to articles on all pages at Gaz Office. Have a browse to click through links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you have this page website. Thanks so much for doing that. It's also video ads on most pages, so you own the content, you watch them, you can close them back up again. It does help to pay for Gaz Office. Just starting off with a wintry scene that's been sent to us by a viewer of Gaz Office. This is from Ian Jones in Bringford, North Wales. And this was yesterday morning, a proper wintry, snowy scene there out in the garden. I think fairly high up though, probably 900 feet, something like that, at Bringford in North Wales. So there was quite a bit of snow, however, in the north yesterday. I don't think it was completely at elevation. Some of it was coming down to lower levels. For example, some of the suburbs of Manchester, I think, had a little bit of snow yesterday morning. All of that's gone, of course, now. Although I say there might be a little bit more snow coming up over the next few days in the north, particularly northern England over Pennines. Wouldn't be at all surprised if you get a bit of snow turning up there. So we've had the central England temperature through for February 2017, the official CED date in at Hadley, and we're coming out for the month at 6.1. So it's been a very warm February, really. Although you only have to go back to 2014 to find February that was warmer. That came out at 6.2, and then 2011 was warmer still, coming out at 6.7. So we are in the middle of what appears to be quite an extended run of quite warm Februarys. I'm sure we'll get a cold one before too much longer. But pretty warm February, and that goes along with the warm December, of course. That came out at 6.0, although January was a lot cooler at 4.0. Not particularly cold, but was quite a bit cooler in January. That's close to the 61 to 1990 average. But a rather strange winter. We're still waiting for the overall stats for the winter to come through, actually. I think we'll get those through in about a week's time. It'll take a week for all the stats to update at UK Metos, and then we'll be able to verify the Gaz Weather Vids Winter 2016-2017 forecast. I don't think it's panned out particularly well, but we will verify it and see what went wrong and what could have gone wrong when those final stats come through in around a week's time. But of course, now we're off into meteorological spring. The 1st of March is officially the first day of spring when it comes to dealing with the stats. It doesn't really work out in terms of what the weather does. The weather doesn't stick to defined periods like that, so very often you can get significantly wintry weather going on in March and April, and conversely you can get spring-like weather in January. So you just never know with the weather, but it's useful to have a defined period when we come to divvy up the statistics, and spring officially is the 1st of March through to the 31st of May, so it's the first day of spring today. And looking ahead through the first half of March, it looks like we've been talking about this a lot in the videos lately. It looks like we're in for very unsettled weather. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. A little bit above average today, but you're going to go a bit cooler tomorrow. Then we go quite mild again at the end of the week before we go to average at the weekend. Into next week, it looks like we've got a bit of a milder spell setting up, and then into the second week of March and up towards the middle part of the month, looks like a little bit of a cooling trend. So rather up and down with the temperatures, but nothing overly dramatic standing out really with the temperatures. The main thing is going to be the precipitation. I've been talking about this a lot over recent days. Lots of precipitation spikes coming up later this week. It'll be really wet on Friday, and then it's going to stay and settle, particularly for England and Wales, into the weekend. Next week looking very unsettled as well. It's not really until we get towards the middle part of March, this period just here, that we might be looking at a slightly drying trend, but that's a long way off, of course, and we can't take that too seriously. I think the main message is still very unsettled weather for the next week to 10 days. These are the temperature anomalies for the next week. They're coming out in the south, ever so slightly milder than average, but really from central northern Britain northwards, it's looking a little bit cooler than average, as it is for Ireland as well. So a fairly cool first week to March coming up. Precipitation anomalies from the 1st through the 9th of March. Wetter than average for England and Wales. A little bit drier than average for Scotland. Very interesting pattern this. And I suspect this will be reflected in the winter stats. When we come to look at the winter stats, I suspect what we'll see, don't know for sure, but I suspect what we'll see is that Scotland and Northern Ireland have had a drier and a milder winter compared to England and Wales, where I think will be a bit cooler and wetter. Not cold, it has been a cold winter down in south, it will still be above average, but I suspect the deviation will be greater in the north compared to the south, so quite interesting, and that continues for the coming week as well. So these are the generic charts. This is for GFS for Sunday, when we've got low pressure very close to the country. It looks unsettled. We are close to bringing down some really cold air. We've got high pressure up to the north, and just to the north of the UK, there are easterly winds, actually. So it wouldn't take much of an adjustment to be quite a cold and wintry start to March this year. But again, just hasn't worked out quite right. That's been the case throughout winter. I've been very unlucky this winter in terms of getting cold weather. That's if you like cold weather, of course. We've been unlucky, and we remain, even into the spring, pretty unlucky, really. Just a few hundred miles to the north of us, there's a proper easterly wind going on. Anyway, for Sunday, we're under this area of low pressure, so expect showers or longer spells of rain, particularly for England and Wales. A bit drier on Monday next week, a slight ridge building then. It will probably be cold with frost, and then we go through to Tuesday. Now we're bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic. And if you follow the isobars back, the air from Tuesday onwards is beginning to originate from more of a tropical source of the Atlantic. So we begin to pull the air up from the Azores. So it will start to turn milder. We saw it on the temperature ensemble. It will start to turn milder from around Tuesday onwards. Wednesday still unsettled, but it is a milder flow that's coming in off the Atlantic now. And then as we go through to the second half of next week, high pressure is close to the south, but really it's still these areas of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic that look like they're keeping things pretty unsettled. Up to day 10, which is Saturday the 11th of March, it's staying unsettled, and at that point the wind's trying to get in towards the north, a bit of a northerly trying to set up. I talked about this in a video yesterday, that for the middle part of March there are hints of getting a colder northerly setting up. I wouldn't rule that out, and the GFS is sort of going with that idea as early as the 11th, day 10, on this morning's 6 o'clock run. Missing the ECMWF for the weekend looks really unsettled again. Low pressure is driving in off the Atlantic. Quite a nice Scandinavian high, trying to get wind into the east, but for us it's still these areas of low pressure that are the dominating factor. Through to the middle part of next week, we start to drag up much milder air, so both models are in agreement that next week, after a chilly start, we'll see much milder air invading from the Atlantic. So by Wednesday, middle of next week, when this chart's taking place, Wednesday 8th of March, we could well be seeing temperatures around 14 or 15 degrees Celsius there down in the southeast. And then it's the second half of next week. Looks like it's staying pretty mild, actually. The winds are still coming up from the south, albeit these areas of low pressure are threatening unsettled weather, and I don't think the next rain band will be too far away. By day 10, Saturday 11th of March, we're bringing quite an active area of low pressure in off the Atlantic, no doubt bringing more rain. So we've got pretty cool weather coming up for the rest of this weekend, and start of next week. Then it turns milder through the middle part of next week, and we could be pushing those temperatures around the mid-teens Celsius by the middle of next week. That'll be a nice little burst of spring. And a couple of days of drier weather perhaps, but I suspect by the end of next week we're back to quite a bit of rain. And as we look ahead towards the middle part of March, we may have to think about turning things colder from the north. But of course that is a very long way off. Right, don't forget to check out Friday's forecast if you haven't done so yet. This evening we'll have Terry Scully's forecast for March, so come back, excuse me, come back for that if you would like to do that. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.